This is my 1968 Ford F-250 utility bed. I wanted to make sure everybody saw exactly what I was selling. I didn't want any surprises. I didn't want anybody disappointed. So I decided to go ahead and take the video so that any potential buyer could see the condition of the truck. And I wanted to just go over some things like I said in the ad. I was very descriptive. Cigarette lighter's not in there. It's here. It has to be put in. See, there's a hole. There's a hole in the lower seat where the driver sits. The rest of the seat is beautiful. But there is a hole there. So that has to be patched up. I believe the original owner, or maybe from the factory even, they had some sort of a snap-on cover that went over the back window, because there's rivets all the way around for some sort of a snap-on cover. And I think maybe that's why the seat has remained in the condition it's in. Let's see. When all the engine work was done, we put in water and an oil pressure gauge. The oil pressure and the water temperature up here do not work. Speedometer works. It's a little bit shaky, but it works. Fuel gauge works. The choke works. That alternator voltmeter doesn't work. The wipers work both speeds, high and low. The bright lights, or the lights, work. Let's see. There's no stereo. There's no radio, no stereo. Speakers are in the doors, but they're not hooked up. Let's see, the fan motor does not turn on. I don't know exactly why, but the fan motor doesn't turn on. And I'm not so sure about these heater controls. When all the engine work was done, I had them put in a new heater core. Let's see if I get down here. Where the heck is it? There it is. I had them put in a new heater core. You can see there isn't any rust. Let's go back over to this side here. That bubble mirror's got a little discoloration right there. As far as I can tell from the VIN number, this is factory option utility bed. And I guess it was ordered in San Jose. Here's the VIN tag. It's a little bit crusty. Some sort of a Ford motor sticker. Okay, again, here's that tear in the upholstery. Other than that, the seat is beautiful. Here's the auxiliary switch for the auxiliary electric fan that we added when the engine work was done. The lights work, but when you go to push the button on the floor for the brights, the lights turn off. So I'm not sure what's going on with that, but that's the way it is. There's the original seat. There's the fuel tank. There's also a fuel tank underneath the bed there. All right, let me take a look in the engine, and then let me see how long we're going. 6 minutes. I had this motor built, machine shop put the motor together, and then the mechanic that my family's been going to for 30 years, they did the assembly. It's a 390 Ford 390. It's a heavy duty. The upper end is some sort of a heavy duty version of a 390. I don't know exactly. They recommended putting the stock exhaust manifolds on as opposed to headers. They said I would have a lot more reliability that way without having the headers. They said you'd have lots of problems with headers in the future perhaps, so they recommended the stock manifolds. And all this is new: the large capacity radiator, the shroud, the fan. Back behind there, there's the auxiliary electric fan. All new thermostat, water pump, belt, hoses. The fan itself is a new fan. And there's a heavy-duty transmission cooler down there. The battery setup has got a dual battery setup with a really heavy gauge wire going over to the second battery. I was actually having the truck built for a cab over camper, and so that battery there is constantly charged. That's a one wire 160 amp, I don't know, high performance alternator that charges the truck battery, and then the truck battery and the alternator charges this, what we call a house battery, and that was going to run back to the cab over camper. And these wires right here go back to the trailer hitch. So there was a lot of work done, on the engine. The transmission shifts real smooth. It's an automatic. When the engine was out, I cleaned everything up really well, and I painted everything in here, and I took the hinges off and painted everything underneath there. There's an isolator. There's an isolator here which protects the second battery, so that actually it protects the main battery so that it doesn't get drained if the secondary battery does. This is a new overflow setup for the radiator. Let's see. Okay, like I was saying, the mechanics put in a new heater core and all new hoses, everything for the water, everything for the fuel was isolated so that the engine doesn't get contaminated with old fuel or any kind of old water that was in the system. So all of that's new. I'm going to go ahead and stop it, and then I will continue with another video for the body and also the utility bed.